What to expect for the 2023 Formula 1 Qatar Grand Prix, a fight breaks out in the NASCAR Truck Series, and your local racing report. All that and more on the Flag to Flag podcast. No way I got that on my first try.
You did. You got it on your first try. Not even like
wow.
Yeah, we've been recording for the last 19 minutes, man. Yeah, you got it. First try. Welcome to episode 8, 7?
9.
8? 9. Oh,
9.
Wow.
Oh, wait. That means I got to do this. Hold on.
Episode 9.
9.
Of... Oh, you're wearing a 9. Okay, I couldn't see what it is.
Yeah.
Nice. Welcome to episode 9 of the Flag to Flag podcast. This is your host, John DeRudris, the motorsport enthusiast, TME, boom, and my lovely host as well, Mr. Chad Barker. Chad, how are you doing today while I eat my lovely chips?
I'm doing good. I've never seen that brand of chips before. What brand is that?
They're called hippies. They're chickpea puffs.
Okay. I thought that was a jalapeno.
Good. No.
Okay.
So
anyway, but yeah, I'm doing good. I had my first day of my next session now here at the University of Northwestern Ohio. So
cool.
It's been fun. I don't want to say it was a pretty boring week for racing, but I mean it's Talladega. Talladega within itself is a show, but
right.
Throughout the grand scheme of things, there just wasn't really much of anything, you know? Yeah. We're still waiting on that one seat in Formula One to be filled.
Yeah,
IndyCar, I've been on the lookout, you know, and nothing too noteworthy. You know, they've talked about certain things here and there, but the big stuff was we've got plenty to talk about. What happened with NASCAR, especially in the Truck Series. But what have you been up to?
Yeah, just chilling. Watching football, watching racing, doing some house projects, doing some stuff around the garage. Typical stuff: work, life, business, growing my company, all the things here on my side.
There you go.
But yeah, so let's start with Formula One. We're still waiting on the decision with the second Williams seat. We have no clue what that's going to be yet. They haven't really made any clear. They said that they want to try to keep Sargent, but no official word has come out yet. So that seat still is up for grabs. I hope Sargent.
There's not like a deadline they have to have that by, is there?
I'm assuming there is. I just don't know what it is. Okay. I don't know if there's a specific deadline per se.
Because I know,
off the top of my head.
I know Formula One's different than IndyCar and NASCAR. Because like NASCAR, they can just be like, "Yeah, you're gonna drive it this week, and you're gonna drive it this week." It's with Formula One, it's a bit different. They're a bit different in a lot of different aspects.
Yeah. I mean, my guess is that they don't really have to have anybody there in the seat. Now, the contract itself, his original contract, will have that deadline. So whenever that deadline is for the contract, which I'm assuming is at the end of the season, that'll obviously take place whenever that date is. But as of right now, nothing with Williams, but all the seats are filled for 2024 except for Mr. Sargent. So other than that, Chad, anything you want to add on to Sargent's may or may not?
I mean, for me personally, it's great having an American in Formula One.
Agreed.
It's I mean, at the end of the day, Formula One is a business. At the end of the day, each one of the teams in Formula One is a business. And there's one of my favorite shows to watch is Bar Rescue, which is funny because never mind. I'm not going to say that. I'm only 20. Anyway, and my parents listen to this. Not going to incriminate myself, but
chopped.
But one of my favorite shows to listen to watch is a show called Bar Rescue, and John Taffer, the host of the show, which is, have you ever seen Bar Rescue?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Kitchen Nightmares, but with bars.
Yep.
And John Taffer, the host of the show, has this saying, and it's, he'll go up to the owner and be like, "Hey, this employee of yours is more of a liability than an asset." And the person will just be like, "Well, they're my friend. I've known them for so long. I don't want to." And he'll look at him and he'll go, "Are you running a business or a charity?"
I love that.
And that's like, with me, I hope to own my own business one day. And 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 that's something I've kind of always held to heart. But I mean, it's like what I'm saying. These guys are running businesses, not charities. All right, and
Right.
and it's if I'm Logan Sargent, I'm glad I'm not in Nick DeVries's situation to where I only had half the year to prove myself.
Speaking of Nick DeVries, I think he did sign a deal in Formula 2. I think that's the one thing that I did see. Was it Formula 2 or Formula 3?
Formula E.
Formula E. So I was all off.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, so that's kind of the big thing. One thing I did just recently, I did just remember, history has been made within Formula One, kind of. I have it right here. Jessica Hawkins makes F1 test debut.
Yep, with Mercedes.
Jesus Christ, Aston Martin.
Man, I'm all off.
You are all up. You're wearing a Dallas Cowboys shirt. That's why. Hey, my dad was born and raised an hour outside of Pittsburgh. All right.
No,
Yeah, that's what my dad said.
No.
My dad says he has 3 favorite football teams: the Titans, the Steelers, and whoever is playing against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And so yeah, she went on to say getting to drive the AMR 21, so their 2021 car, has been a dream come true for me and one I've been ready to fulfill for a long time. I want to inspire other women and let them know they should follow their dream no matter what it is. Now, this kind of raises the question because when the W Series was a thing, you remember the W Series?
Yeah.
And Jamie Chadwick was absolutely dominating that series. She's now in Indy Next. There was a bit of talk where she might be able to make it into Formula One, and then it kind of came out that I think someone released like something, and I wasn't 100% sure, but it was just like, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Who knows? After Fernando Alonso retires in 20 years, are we gonna see? But whenever he does, is it a possibility?
Yeah,
it is a very.
Yes. Here's the thing. This is a topic within all of major sports.
Oh yes.
I think the W Series has a place for a reason to give those very talented female drivers a chance to be able to make a name for themselves. Great.
Yeah.
The issue is I think just the skew between the talented male drivers and the talented female drivers. There's so much of a larger pool of guys, and that's just how it's always been within racing, within all series. And that's not trying to what I'm trying to say here with that going in that direction, but it just is. So is it a chance? It could be. There always could be a chance. Look at other drivers in other series. Look at NASCAR. There have been multiple times where females have been drivers. In Formula One, I don't know.
And Formula One, it's a bit different because with IndyCar and NASCAR, because when I went to the 500 this year, there was a female driving for in the Indy 500 this year.
Yeah.
I believe she was from England, the UK, yeah. But the thing is with Formula One and NASCAR that's different is you have, in order to enter a race in NASCAR, just for an example, you have to do one of two things. And this is very similar to IndyCar. You can either go up to Rick Hendrick and wave $1 million in his face, and he'll put you in a car.
Yeah.
Or you can contact Dallara, you can contact NASCAR, you can buy yourself a car, get a motor, you can build your own car. You can go out to your garage and build your own NASCAR stock car. As long as it's within rules, they'll let you qualify for the event.
Yeah.
All right? And I'm almost positive it's the exact same way with IndyCar. Formula One, it's different. You have to put forth a crap ton of money because there's a bunch of politics right now with Andretti Autosport trying to get into Formula One.
Right.
And I feel like that's why we see it more in IndyCar because Danica Patrick, perfect example. All right,
yeah,
she did good in IndyCar. She probably didn't do the best in NASCAR, but and there was actually no probably with that. Sorry,
no. I mean, you're not wrong. She was not great.
She had her moments, and every time it looked like she was doing something good. Because my dad, me growing up watching a bit of NASCAR, my dad's always been a big Stewart-Haas fan.
Okay.
I don't know who he's going to cheer for after this year, because he was a huge Kevin Harvick fan. Jack Herberger, everyone. And so, but he would, obviously he would cheer for all the Stewart-Haas drivers, but every time, like, it would be like, come on, Harvick, and then be like, damn it, Danica. Yeah. That's what it would be. And so with a woman, but with Formula One, with it being 10 times more cutthroat, I don't want to say it'll be harder for her to get in because she's a woman. I'm saying it's harder going to be for her to get in because it's Formula One.
Period. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, like we see time and time again where the F2 champion, like the way it's looking right now, we might not see. There's a chance we're not going to see a rookie next year in Formula One.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I bet if Sargent's gone.
There's one. I said there's a chance. There's one seat open for a rookie.
Yeah, exactly.
For a rookie in the Mercedes camp to come in there.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know. I think we're just gonna have to wait to see what the following years have to say. But this was a good thing for Formula 1, because they're very much making it, they're very much a very diverse sport when it comes to drivers. The chief strategist for Red Bull is a female. I'm not 100% sure of her name, and she's been doing fantastic things over there.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting to see the way that's going to play out in the coming years. And honestly, I'm all for it. I'd love to see a woman who has the same caliber as some of these other guys go up and see what she can do. I'd love to see that. And I think I forget who it was, but I think Bubba Wallace said it. Don't quote me on this. I don't know if it was Bubba Wallace, but he said it doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl. It doesn't matter what your gender is. Everyone looks the same once they put the helmet on.
I like that.
And that's one thing I've always, and that's, and that's kind of like the same thing with me whenever I raced was I'm always going to race people the exact same way. Everyone looks, you can't, there's no race, there's nothing. Everyone looks the same when they put their helmet on. And yeah, so that's kind of the big stuff. Moving into Qatar, what we got possibly for going on for Qatar. Last time we were there, we were in a completely different car.
And a lot different,
the circumstances were a lot different.
Yeah, you saw, Mercedes were, at the top of their game, obviously. It was a closer battle for championships. You had, Ocon finishing in the top 5 here at Qatar 2 years ago. So
Fernando Alonso getting his first podium in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy race, and Hamilton won by 25 seconds. So it was definitely an interesting race, to say the least. Looking at the qualifying grid, Hamilton and Verstappen were 1 and 2, and then they finished 1 and 2. So that obviously makes this a race where track position is key and critical. Obviously, multiple passing zone, multiple DRS zones.
That's what I'm happy about, is that this is a very race. This is a racing track.
It is.
Yeah, so that's what I'm very excited about. And I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna look real quick and see when the race actually is, to see if I actually will be watching it.
It should be, I think, like 8 or 9. I'm guessing. That's my guess. But yeah, turn 1 obviously is a good passing opportunity. We've always seen action there. Probably going to see chaos on the start, because literally you're almost going in a complete 180. It's probably about a 140-degree turn that you're making. So it's going to be pretty interesting. So I just saw your face. What time is the race?
1 p.m.
Oh, there we go.
I will most definitely be watching that.
It's a night race. That makes
it's a night race for them. Yeah, so it's I will most definitely be watching that then. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, it's 8 p.m. their time, 1 p.m.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I will 100% be watching that.
So, yeah, it's going to be the first time they're back there in 2 years, since 2021, with the new car. I think it's going to be fast. I think there's going to be a lot of passing. I think, this is a chance for some other teams to come in after a break and really show what they've got. I'm a little bit high on McLaren. I think they have a solid chance, after what we saw in Japan at Suzuka, to possibly disrupt Red Bull. So, looking into this race, talking about some predictions really quick, who is your pick to win, and who are your podium drivers? Top 3. I think
we have both the sprint race and the actual race.
Exactly. So there's those two things. I mean, I pay attention to the actual Grand Prix, but the sprint race obviously has point implications. So I guess we could say,
when's the sprint race? Hold on, that is
it should be the day before.
Sprint race is the day before at 1:30 p.m. So I will be watching that as well
for sure. So, with that, who are your picks to win the actual Grand Prix?
The actual big Grand Prix. Honestly, my picks for the actual Grand Prix are going to be the exacts. Is going to be the 1-2 for the Grand Prix is probably going to be the exact same thing we see in the sprint. Is Red Bull 1-2, and I'm not going to be surprised if it's a Red Bull, because let's also look at this. There's a good chance that in the sprint race, Verstappen can lock it up. And if you remember what I said last week, if Perez wins every sprint race for the rest of the year, wins every Grand Prix race for the rest of the year, and gets the fastest lap, and throughout all those races, Verstappen finishes outside the top 10 for the rest of the year, he will win the championship by 1 point. Yeah, so there is a very, very strong chance. I'm gonna have to look at and see. I'll look and see real quick if there. I don't think I've seen anything yet about what the possibility of that could be for Verstappen to be able to win the championship. Okay, here we go. Max Verstappen will be crowned champion if he scores 3 points in the sprint race weekend. All he needs is 3 points.
So he's going to win. Let's say that right now. He's probably going to win the sprint race.
Your 2023 Formula One champion, and then it's going to be Perez in second, and the battle's going to be on for third. Which I'm excited about.
Yeah, just the best of the rest.
Best of the rest. But one big thing I'm super excited for coming into this race is something we saw a lot, is the amount of right-hand turns on this track that a lot of the teams in 2021 weren't expecting, and we saw a bunch of right front tire failures. All right, because you're thinking you're going into a corner, whenever you push the brake on the car, the nose of the car goes down. And then whenever you turn, it'll lean to kind of whatever side that is. Yeah. Yep. So you're braking and turning, so mostly right-hand turns. So this tire right here, right for me, is getting a lot of stress on that tire throughout a lap, let alone a race. And then these tires, and the tires we have now are also different, We've gone from, I'm not sure how big, to an 18-inch wheel. So a smaller sidewall. However, I feel like the contact patch is around the same. But my picks is going to be, Verstappen, Perez 1-2, and then we're going to see. I'm gonna go Mercedes. No, not a Mercedes. A McLaren. My bad. McLaren.
There we go.
I'm gonna go. Not Perez. Not Leclerc. What's his name? Norris. I don't know why I just blanked on his name. Lando. The L. That's where I got
Lando. Yeah.
Lando Norris. I'm gonna go for him on third. I feel like
solid picks.
I feel like the battle is very much on right now for third in the Constructors' Championship between Aston Martin and Fernando Alonso. And who knows, we might see something out of Fernando Alonso again. We've been kind of waiting to see that again. I'm very excited to see. This is a race where I'm actually kind of excited for. It's not like this is only the second time we've ever been to this track. The first time we've been to this track with this style car, it's not like a Monaco,
right,
or a Monza, a track we've been going to for a long period of time, where you can kind of guess a range where you kind of be. Obviously I have a good feeling about who's going to finish 1-2, but at the same time, the best. It's going to be good to see what happens in the best of the rest.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good race. I love the track in Qatar. I think it's really fun, and so I think it's going to be.
Have you driven it on a Assetto Corsa?
F1.
It's in F1.
I thought it was on F1.
F1 23.
No,
it wasn't on 20. Was it on 21? Because actually, I have that game on the Xbox, but
I thought it was. Yeah, F1 2021, Qatar.
Oh. Well, shoot, I actually might have to go back on my Xbox and see if I can do a lap, because I only have iRacing. That's like the main thing I do. So it's gotcha. I haven't done that, but yeah, keep going. Sorry, it's a fun track, and
it's a fun track. And we're gonna see I was actually getting Qatar and Bahrain mixed up. I said it's a hard 180 or 180-degree turn in the one. Definitely not 180 degrees. But it's definitely turn one is going to be chaos, trying to get everything locked down. And looking throughout the track, it's an interesting layout. Obviously, majority right-hand turns, I'd say, throughout the entire track. So with that always produces its own issues, like you said, with cars. Going back to my prediction, I think McLaren could have a good chance to make some noise with Lando. I don't know about Oscar. I mean, he's been up there. He's been doing great so far. But I think if anybody's going to try to spoil the Red Bull, parade, that's going to happen this weekend when they clinch the championship. I think it's going to have to be a McLaren. I think it will be a McLaren. I think it's going to be Lando Norris. I think he's going to finish in second. I don't think he's going to win. Unless Verstappen has catastrophe happen, which I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of a prediction on. I think something's going to happen with Max that's going to drop him back. Is that going to be qualifying? Is that going to be in-race issues? I think that's going to bring him back just a little bit. Now, it's not going to, I don't think...
You got anything to say this, or you just got a feeling?
I got a feeling. Hey, I had a
you got a feeling.
Ferrari. I've had a lot of feelings recently about races, and we called it again. We did. But then we called it 2 weeks ago too. But after you were like, "Oh, Ryan Blaney's not a super speedway driver," and I'm like, "Bro, yes, he is."
he reinstated me. We just haven't seen that much noise from him. But yes, I do feel, yes, he is now very much back to being a super speedway driver.
Yeah. So either way, I think it's going to be Max Verstappen. I think it's going to be Lando. I think it's going to be Sergio Perez. And then, with fourth, possibly Oscar. I don't know what the Ferraris are going to do. That's kind of my big question mark is can they build on this momentum that they've had? A little bit of a setback in Suzuka, but I think McLaren is obviously the team to beat right behind Red Bull. So those are my predictions for Grand Prix number, what are we on?
I don't know.
14.
No. I don't know. I think
we're past halfway.
We're definitely we're starting to look at the end of the year now.
Yeah, we're on the back end of the stint. I think we're 14 or 15 in.
18.
Wow.
18. And then we have an off week, and then guess where we go? Circuit of the Americas.
Yes.
And
Austin, Texas.
And we will have something really interesting for that episode too, which yeah. Did you really already forget? I told you about this.
No, I didn't forget. There's no connection to Formula One, and how am I supposed to remember?
It does have a connection to Formula One. It can. Slight.
It can.
We'll come out with that.
Either
we'll come out with that.
Yeah, we'll drop that later on. But we're both picking Max, I guess, to win at in the Qatar Grand Prix here this weekend.
Yeah, and then we'll have to start looking at second and third place in the championship.
Yeah, which is going to be fun because it's a toss-up. I mean, just it's all over the place. I mean, there is such a closer battle there for that. But that's what's going on in Formula One. Moving on now, I think we should talk about the local racing report. So where are we at this week?
This local racing report, we are going to the great state of Tennessee. We are going to be going to Greenbrier, Tennessee for Veterans Motorplex at the Rim. Previously known as Highland Rim Speedway, Veterans Motorplex at the Rim. I have raced at this facility, and the track itself is very fun. Going into turns 1 and 2, there's an invisible apron, and if you hit that apron, you're already too low because you're going to upset your car on exit, and then there's a very, very, very late apex in 3 and 4, and a very low exit of 3 and 4 as well. But yeah, let's take a look at this. So we have the Springfield Plumbing late models. We had the Pure Stock division, the Pest Doctor Ridge Runners. We had the SOHC Road Warriors, the DOHC Road Dogs, the Young Lions Semi-Pro Legends division. They had the Bandolero and the Bandolero division. So let's go for our top 3 for all these classes. In the Springfield Plumbing late models division, number 5, coming home third, Bobby Terry. In the number 8D, coming second, Mark Day. And coming home with your Springfield Plumbing late models feature win, number 8, Michael Pinnell. In the Pure Stock division, we had, in third place, we had, Number 71, Chase Cochran. And second place, starting 7th, came home back second. Number 2, Timothy Moonaghan. And starting 5th, coming home with the feature win, number 23, Joey Williams for the Pure Stock Division. And the Pest Doctor Ridge Runners. Oh, wow. So after a disqualification in this class, we had starting 4th, coming home 3rd in the number 25, Scott Connor. Starting 3rd, coming home 2nd, Mark Appleby in the number 91, and starting 1st, came home 1st after the disqualification. Not sure if that shook up anything, but Josh Harrell coming home.
Nice.
In the SOH Road Warriors division, starting 1st, coming home 3rd, number 54, Patricia Williams. Starting 3rd, coming home 2nd, the number 469 of Derek Bissinger. And starting 2nd and coming home with your SOHC Road Warriors feature win, number 91, Mark Appleby. And the DOHC Road Dogs division, starting 1st, coming home 3rd, number 40, Brandon Laz. Starting 7th, coming home 2nd, number 84, Michael Forsythe. Starting 4th, finishing with the feature win in the DOHC Road Dogs division, Hunter Pennington in the number 90. Going into your Young Lion and Semi-Pro division, starting 3rd, finishing 3rd, the number 1A of Austin Harrison. Starting 1st, finishing 2nd, the number 73 of Zach Honecker. And starting 2nd, finishing 1st, Michael Crafton. The Bandolero.
You're Michael Crafton, your friend?
Yes, actually. The reason that kind of brings us why I was into this track. There was very little racing in the state of Mississippi this week. I could not find any racing this past weekend for Mississippi. And that was our rate. And we were running short on time, so I was like, we're going to Highland Rim. So yes, but that is this Crafton right here, my good friend back home.
Nice.
Then we headed to the Bandolero division after a wild race. I watched the live stream. It was a wild race. Coming home 3rd, starting 3rd, finished 3rd, and the number 10, Alex Pate. Starting 2nd, finishing 2nd, and the number 25, Caden Binkley. And starting 1st, finishing 1st with your Bandolero feature win, Keaton Harris. So congratulations to all those guys. If you want your local short track shouted out on the Flag to Flag podcast, email flagtoflag10@gmail.com or hit us up on either of our social media platforms. Listen out for the end of the episode for either of those. And also, if you have a local short track around you and you haven't been there in a while, go to it. Bring a friend. Yep. Local short track racing needs your help. Go to it. I did it this weekend. I found a little go-kart track about 20 minutes away from my school. It was a flat kart track, and I did just that. I brought a friend who she had just moved in, and so
cool.
Went out, chilled out at the racetrack for a few hours, and it was great.
Nice. Really quick. It seemed like within the races that you just mentioned, a lot of the drivers either started up front and finished up front, or were very close to the front in their final results. Is it a track position kind of race?
So at that track, it is very much. If you've been there for a while, it's very, very friendly. It took me. I started racing there in 2019. It took me until 2022 to finally figure out what it was. Because here's the thing. So you go into turn 1, and turn 1 is an extremely wide entry into a wide entry and extremely wide exit of turn 1 and 2. So you're entering there very wide, and then like I said, there's an invisible apron. You can't see it with your naked eye. The only way you know it's there is because you feel it in the car. All right, you feel it. You feel the car shift, and by the time you hit the apron, you're already too low. So you have to predict exactly where that apron is, because if you get on the power and you're on that apron, that transition is going to just upset your car, and you're going to be chasing it the entire time. And basically, on exit, you are aiming for the wall, and then you get to the wall, and then you just keep going. And then and it's a very similar entry into turns 3 and 4. It's a very wide entry. However, you want to feel as low as you want to be as low as possible on exit. It almost feels like it doesn't feel like it almost feels like you're killing your momentum, but you get it just right. And I remember the first time I broke into for the legend cars, if you're going faster than 14 seconds around that track, you're moving. But yeah, it was really a small race day for these guys. I think there was another race going on, I think in Kingsport, Tennessee. But yeah, I mean, if we look here, the late models had 6 cars, the pure stocks had 7 cars, and they actually had 2 disqualifications, or 8 cars, and they had 2 disqualifications in that. The Ridge Runners, they had only 5 cars. Road Warriors had 3 cars. Road Dogs had 8 cars. Legends had 5 cars. So, but yeah, so it was just a very small day for them. So yeah.
Got it.
When we go to the All-American 400, though, you and me, you're going to see some cars.
It's going to be a completely different scenario.
It's going to be insane. But yeah, let's get into, you want to get into NASCAR?
Let's get into NASCAR. So we were at my favorite track this weekend, Talladega, home of the big one and home of some very interesting infield activities.
Talladega delivered.
It was,
as it always does. Talladega delivered.
We had cars wrecking. We had
cars making contact. We had fist making contact.
We had crew members getting hit by the rear end of trucks. It was just an insane weekend at Talladega. So yeah, let's start off with what we got. What you got with
so we had the ARCA Menard. We had the NASCAR Youth Series was off. The ARCA Menard Series was in Salem Speedway. Was at Salem Speedway this week for the Atlas 200. Your top 3 from that was, in third place, we had Christian Rose. Second place, Andreas Perez. Wonder if there's any relation there. I think I've talked about that. And in first place, take a wild guess on who won in first place for the ARCA Menard Series. Jesse Love. And with this first place win, Jesse Love is your 2023 ARCA Menards National Series champion. So congratulations. He's won a good bit of them. I would not be surprised if we saw him in a truck ride next year. So that'll be very interesting to see. But yeah, let's then we move on to the Truck Series right now, and we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to stay in the Truck Series here for a minute. Stage 1 went to Nick Sanchez. We'll talk about him a bit later. Stage 2 went to Parker Kligerman. Yeah, so very interesting to see. Yeah. Very good to see him. And your race winner, haven't heard much of him since he won his championship a few years ago, but Brent Moffitt.
Yeah.
Brent Moffitt. So it was really good to see him. Do we want to kind of keep going with the other announcements we heard, or do we want to circle back? And do we want to circle back to the trucks, or?
Let's stick on the trucks for a second, because I think we have some very punching topics to talk about. So we had, if you didn't catch the truck race, we had.
Well, let's talk about what happened within the first round of pit stops. Let's talk about that first.
Oh, okay. First
then we'll get to the pit stuff. You go. You talk about the
first round of pit stops, and you see a car lock it up on pit road, and I'm like, okay, great. Next thing I see, I see a crew member freaking try to jump over the deck lid. Tires flying everywhere. I'm like, what's going on? So what happened was Zane Smith, going down pit road, locks up his rear tires, basically gets the car sideways as the crew was already out of the obviously box going to service Zane Smith's car or truck. The rear tire carrier was already making his way around, because that's what you do. You have to get around the car as it's moving, and the rear end of the car is heading right towards this guy. Mm-hmm. And you know what's going to happen. When you see the replay, you know what's going to happen. And so I forget his name, but he knows that he's about to get hit by the rear end of this car.
Yeah.
So he drops both tires and leaps up into the deck of
I remember
Zane
the
Smith's
interview,
truck.
he said he thought he could clear it.
He thought he could, which I'm like, what? Clear it?
A for effort. I mean, hey.
Pretty badass. And so, And, I mean, he damaged the rear end of that car, ended up retiring. You know, the 38 had issues, and he had to retire from the race. But if you look at the replay, it looks so bad, but he was fine. He was fine. Tires went everywhere.
So
it was wild.
Yeah, well, with what I saw, I actually didn't see it happen. All I saw was a tire rolling down pit road. And then they went to go show the replay. I'm like, all right, let's see who dropped a tire. And all I see is Zane Smith sideways, and I mean, I was worried that the guy was hurt. Zane Smith was obviously worried that the guy was hurt. And then the guy, if you look at like some of the video, it honestly just looks like the dude, like he hit it, and the expression on the guy was just like, it was honestly just like, I stubbed my toe. All right, let's get to work. Like, it just looked like more of an inconvenience to him.
Right, exactly. It was like, you could have hit me a little bit harder? Come on,
like,
man.
Come on, man.
Come on. Well, he said in his interview, he was like, I was just trying to make sure the car or the truck wasn't going to go over me. So he was just trying to get enough clearance so he would
him go under the car. So he just wanted to make sure of that, which I don't blame him for.
Oh, God, if you're getting run over by one of those, trucks. Geez.
Yeah.
Staying
on the Cup Series, it was a wild race, and it was a good race for the most part. We saw a lot of racing. Rackley War up front, that's always a good thing to see for us Tennessee boys.
Exactly.
Yeah, but let's address the elephant in the room with that. Which I will say this: NASCAR has yet to say anything about this.
That's kind of wild to me.
Which is extremely wild to me. I don't think anything was mentioned on the broadcast during NASCAR race day, during Countdown to Green, during the post-race, during the race. I don't think anything was mentioned about it.
Yeah.
Which is a little insane to me. So the way I found out about this was I watched the truck race on Saturday, and then like I said, I went to that little go-kart track that I found. And as I'm getting ready to go, I look at my phone. And I see someone called the Last Lap Insider, who is I'm pretty sure you know who he is. He's a great person to get information from on a bunch of different forms of motorsports. But he posted a video, and I'm just like, what the heck? And apparently, Matt Crafton, a seasoned veteran in NASCAR Truck Series, punched Nick Sanchez for an incident that happened on track. Mm-hmm. Now, Matt Crafton says he felt like that he got spun by him, and Nick Sanchez, I believe he said it was about a racing incident, or...
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, I posted something about this, and I said this, and feel free to disagree with me, but this is my opinion. Both drivers should receive at least a one-race suspension. Both. This is why. Obviously, Matt Crafton, for the sucker punch, the reason I have air quotes around that is for he released a statement the next day about that. And so for the punch on Nick Sanchez, and Nick Sanchez in the video says, "I'm going to effing kill you in Homestead."
Yeah.
Now, I've been a part of racing disputes before, and I've had, I'm going to get you back in Homestead, or I'm going to send you in the wall the next time. That's one thing. To make a literal death threat, that's another.
Yeah.
And so, I believe...
He said it multiple times.
Multiple times.
And obviously, heat of the moment, I don't think he actually meant that.
No.
But... that doesn't mean you have to negate everything.
It doesn't make it right either. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. But he did say that. Yep.
Yeah, and I've never, and I've been mad, and I've probably, you ask all sorts of people I've raced against, I've probably said some things that I'm not 100% proud of, but I've never gone to that far of an extent, and, and he's only 22, and I'm not sure how old Matt Crafton is, but still, I don't know. It was very interesting, but, I'm not going to guess. Before you even ask, I'm not guessing.
You got to guess.
42.
Not terribly off.
What?
47.
I was going to say 45, but I'm like, that's a bit old. But
Yeah, 47.
47. Okay, but still. All right.
Yeah. If he did sucker punch him, makes it even worse. I mean, a 47-year-old, just from what we've heard from other people.
A 47-year-old, multiple-time champion.
Just, yeah.
Yeah. Now if it was... No, if we're looking at the Cup Series, if it's two multi-champions, if it's two guys of the same caliber going at it, that's fine. But both parties released statements. I believe you told me before we started that Nick Sanchez's mom...
Yeah.
Of all people, don't make your mom put out a statement.
You know it's never good when your mom gets involved.
Yeah, when your mom gets involved, that's not good. But
Yeah.
But Nick Sanchez's mom released a statement. You can read it, sum it up, however you want. But yeah, go ahead, John.
Yeah. Basically, Nick's mom was like, Nick is doing good. We appreciate all the concern and love. Basically, after the race, Nick and his PR right-hand individual were walking next to each other back to his hauler. His mom was about 10 steps behind them. And, quote, then in a flash, another driver literally came out of nowhere. We think he was hiding behind some tires, then tapped Nick on his shoulder from behind. When Nick turned his face to see who it was, he then sucker punched Nick. Didn't say a word, no confrontation, just flat out blindsided him. The driver had already changed out of his fire suit, obviously waiting for Nick to go by. He had it planned. Like Nick said, it was a cheap shot. Anyone who knows Nick, knows he's not an aggressor, would never do that to another driver or anyone else, but he didn't even have a chance to defend himself. And then basically she was like, as a parent, this is the last thing you expect to see is somebody assaulting and attacking your son right in front of you. Sickening is an understatement. I'm shaken up and extremely sad. Regardless of whose fault. Okay, this is the last part of it. This is all because of an on-track incident which happens all the time. That's racing. After watching the video, most people are stating it wasn't Nick's fault. Regardless of whose fault, to not even come up to Nick and talk about it and have a discussion is so classless and cowardly, especially coming from a 47-year-old veteran driver who should be a role model. Yes, a 47-year-old taking a cheap shot at Nick. And that is all that was said.
So I find that very interesting because the post I'm going to read, also by the Lap Insider, he was a statement by Matt Crafton, and this is very interesting. But I mean, I'm not trying to defend anyone here, but I mean, it's like you're in a professional sport. Like these guys, this isn't like what I do where we go out there because we love it, and these guys, they're going out there like this is Matt Crafton's job, all right?
Yeah.
Nick Sanchez, this is also his job. He's trying to progress. Every time you move up to another series is like a promotion within the job, all right? This is your job. This is how you make money, all right? But I'm going to go ahead and read this statement that came out from here's what the post says. Matt Crafton released a statement after yesterday's Talladega fight. Matt Crafton has released a statement after yesterday's altercation with Nick Sanchez. Crafton's statement from his social media outlets says this. Here is what wasn't caught on video. First, let's address the, in parentheses, sucker punch. Before the camera started rolling, I approached Nick and said, hey. When he turned around, I said, what the blank? To which he looked right at me and threatened me. This is when it all went to hell. I had his attention, words were exchanged, all before anything physical took place. So I did not, once again in parentheses, sucker punch the guy. There may not be video, but there were plenty of eyewitnesses. Second, what people don't take into account is that all about. I had a stroke reading that. Second, what people don't take into account is that he all but sucker punched me at 200 miles per hour. The way he pushed my truck gave me no ability to get out of the situation. And he was told multiple times during that race, the way he was pushing people, he was going to cause a wreck and going to get people hurt. This is a constant pattern of certain drivers having a lack of respect on track. And it was time for someone to say something. Am I proud that it got physical? No. But last time I checked, everyone on track is a grown adult. If a man looks at me and threatens me, I am going to react, especially when tempers are already flared from being wrecked on track. I apologize to my team, my sponsors and partners, my family, and the NASCAR community for the negativity and for taking attention away from a good day of racing at Talladega. So, that is very interesting, judging on what we heard from Nick Sanchez's mom.
Yeah, because it's true. The video doesn't even show the punch. You know,
No, the video had already started when they're scuffling around on the ground.
Right, which obviously nobody was expecting anything to happen, which could side on the factor of what his mom said about it was just blatant, hey, buddy, knock you right in the face. But then again, they may not have expected anything to happen, therefore they weren't filming anything. And so I think it's going to now be a he said, she said.
What a lot of people don't understand, and I see this almost every week at any racetrack, and this can be said, this happens most weeks at NASCAR, that a lot of people don't understand this, is that drivers get upset with each other. You hear it over the radio, and these guys, sometimes they'll have, talks about it. You only really hear about it when it's, probably two high-profile drivers fighting for the lead or something.
Right.
Or you only hear about it when this happens, when a physical altercation happens. But I'm surprised that NASCAR hasn't said anything about it. We will probably hear something later in the week, which we'll report on next week. And like I said, both drivers, regardless, it turned into it. Regardless if it was a tap on the shoulder punch or a tap on the shoulder conversation, then a punch. Either way, it turned into a physical altercation, which Matt Crafton, in my opinion, admitted that, yes, he threatened me and I reacted. To me, that's him saying that he punched him.
It is. And especially if Nick made the same threat as he did afterwards.
Exactly.
What else are you supposed to do in that situation? Just going to let somebody talk to you like that? I mean, especially when your tempers are already out of norm. I mean,
now with me personally, I've always been grown up in that, driver to driver altercation. That's fine. When I was racing as kids, and you see it a bit in what I used to race. You see the dads or the moms get into it. I'm just like, you guys aren't the ones on track, I had someone one time come up and start yelling at my dad for something that happened on track. I stepped in front of him. I was like 14 at the time. All right, it was like 6 years ago. Stepped in front of the guy, and I said, he's not the one driving the car, I am. If you have anything to say, you say it to me, and if anything, your driver should be over here talking to me.
Yeah.
And the guy just walked away at that point. But I mean, like, it was a driver-to-driver conflict, but I've always been a person where if you're not, I don't throw the first punch. If you punch me, I'll punch back. But
right, I agree with that.
Yeah, and I've had different conversations and altercations with drivers. That's never gone more than just agreeing to disagree on what happened. Right. I've never, but I mean, it's racing. There's a lot of passion behind it. It's these guys' jobs, and this job is very much dependent on what your performance is.
Yep, results.
We see it all the time in Formula One, where if you're not performing, you're booted. All right, we see it all the time in all sorts of sports. All right, but like I said, at minimum, probably one race suspension for both drivers. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. For Matt Crafton, that'll just be an easy one race suspension. For Nick Sanchez, who is still in the championship fight, that could really hurt him.
Big time. Big time.
So I'm very interested to see how NASCAR goes about this. But yeah, let's move on to what else we got going on here. We had a lot of news come out this weekend with NASCAR. So or this week. So on Tuesday, Ryan Preece re-signed with Stewart-Haas Racing for 2024.
Cool.
Also on Tuesday, 2 Cup Series teams and 1 Xfinity Series team had pit crew suspensions for loose wheels that happened in Texas.
Yep.
So the Austin Dillons, Jackman, and rear tire changer both were suspended for these with these are going to be 2 race suspensions. So Jackman, Josh Spagecki, and rear tire changer Michael Johnson were suspended for Rick Ware Racing number 51. It was either Gilliland or Newman in that car, not 100% sure. Jackman, Matthew Schleider, and rear tire changer Coleman Dollaride were suspended. And then Jordan Anderson Racing in the Xfinity Series, Jackman, Justin Clapper, and the rear tire changer of Dakota Bonds. All 3 teams, crew members are suspended for 2 races. Also in the Xfinity Series team, Joe Gibbs Racing had a loose wheel nut on the number 18 car of Sammy Smith and was fined $5,000.
That's a penny change. For JGR?
He probably wrote him the check right there. Wednesday, Steven Wilson wins the 2023 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series Championship.
I don't know if did you see the video when his family was there? It was awesome. It was such a cool video.
No, I didn't see it. I saw the post, but I didn't see the actual.
We got to pull up the video. I mean, I may sync the video to this podcast right here in the post edit. But yeah, it was a great reaction from the family. Believe his mom or his grandma was there. Can't remember specifically which one, but they were all excited. It was such a cool environment.
Fantastic.
There. But also Wednesday we had some big news from a Cup team and a Truck Series team.
Spire Motorsports has purchased Kyle Busch Motorsports.
And everything. The race shop, they're moving the race shop.
Everything. Kyle Busch is still going to be a driver. He's still going to run the 5 races he's allowed to race a year. Wow.
I mean, think about what Spire's done. They claimed their drivers. They basically said, Zane Smith, you're here. They bought Live Fast for $40 million.
Bought the charter.
And then they just bought KBM. Probably the most dominant Truck Series team.
Not probably. The.
Yeah. With or without Kyle Busch. So it's just.
Yes. I think they've had over 100 wins. I mean, it's insane.
Ridiculous. And so Spire's truck program's going to get better. Think about who goes and races for Spire. It's the number 7 car. It's the Hendrick.com guys. They're now going to be, I guess, do we know the manufacturer yet? Or are they going to be Chevrolet? Is KBM Chevrolet?
I think they're Toyota.
So I'm going to be curious to see what they say because Spire's obviously Chevrolet.
That's going to be interesting with the manufacturers.
So the 7 team's going to get even stronger. I mean, Spire is just. I would have to say, if we're talking about tiers of teams within NASCAR, you obviously have the Hendrick, you have Joe Gibbs, you have the big ones.
Yeah, Penske, Stewart Haas, those guys. He's moving up.
They're moving up. I mean, they're right there with Kaulig because Kaulig has multiple teams and multiple drivers within both series, the Cup and the Xfinity. I think Spire could be, you're starting to see what they can do. Now, think about this. Zane Smith, obviously, coming on board is a huge name. Obviously, they're going to be, charting them out to Trackhouse. But with Zane Smith being a part of Spire, could we see could we be in the midst of a potential dynasty in the making? That's my question. Because they're making all the moves to say, we want to become a legit team in the Cup Series. And you just got a notification.
I got a text message from my buddy who lives right next door to me. He works at Applebee's, and he got a DoorDash order, a massive order, and the name on it was Chad B. So, and he asked me if it was me, and I said no. I've been recording a podcast for the past hour, but
I put that in. Plot twist, I put that in for you.
It's you. Yes, you were ordering food from an Applebee's in Lima, Ohio, of all fucking places. True, but I think it is really interesting. I think we're gonna see Spire Motorsports come out swinging next year, in trucks, maybe in Cup too. I feel like they've kind of been playing in the background a little bit, so I'm very excited to see what happens. In Los Angeles and even at Daytona come next year.
Yep.
Finally, we got some schedule news on Thursday. We have 3 things. Schedule-wise, one of which is rumored. Thursday, NASCAR is going to return to North Wilkesboro Speedway for the 2024 All-Star Race. And, so happy to hear this, NASCAR announces that they will return to the Oval at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You're putting on the hat.
So,
yes!
We're back. Yes, we're back at Indy Oval.
The Oval's back.
A lot of people think this is stupid. A lot of people think that it's a terrible option. A lot of people don't like it. Yeah, there's.
I've heard very mixed opinions.
I've heard
I've heard so many people
Yeah,
hate the road course. They want to go back to the oval.
I think vice versa. I've seen people
Really
say that the racing there's a reason why they got rid of it, and it's because the racing was bad. I mean, from '94 on, it just wasn't. I mean, it slowly the attendance went down. But
in the Gen 6, yes, we don't know what's going to happen in the Gen 7.
I'm about to say, this may be a race that I need to go to next year.
Oh, I am going to it. It's 3 hours away from me. I'm going to it.
It's I think it's a good move. I love it. I particularly love the move. Key the hat.
Yes.
I think that it's I had this hat sitting on my shelf forever.
I think when you posted about it on the Motorsports Enthusiast, you had that hat on.
I did have.
I was like, that is a very loud hat. Wow.
It is a very loud hat. Very bright. But I think it's a good move because I don't think anybody likes the road course. I mean, I think it's a very interesting track to drive. Yeah, it's produced that one race that had an insane amount of wrecks where the turtle busted up, and you saw, I mean, what could have potentially been a, not I don't want to say fatal, but people getting seriously hurt with that coming up.
Oh yeah, that was
rough. But the fact that they're bringing back the Brickyard, it's going to be next year. The logo is reminiscent of how it was, 30 years ago. I can't wait. I think it's a good move. I'm going to go back to my other hat because I don't wear this one. This is more of just like hey, I have this kind of hat.
Yeah.
But I love it.
I'm very excited. I am very, very excited for that. Yeah. And then final kind of news before the race. It was rumored. This is a rumor. It's not confirmed. And I've got mixed opinions about this. It is rumored that next year NASCAR will go back, or in the future, not next year. It is rumored that NASCAR is planning on going back to 2 oval races at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Replace it with Texas. Replace Texas with it. There's no reason why Charlotte.
That would be 3 races at Charlotte then.
Okay, the Roval produces good races.
The Roval does produce good races.
Charlotte is the home of NASCAR. It only makes sense to have multiple races there. And yeah, one's a road course, one's a Cup Series race on the oval. Why not have 3? You have the
like I said, I love having a road course in the playoffs.
I do too. So maybe, I don't know what the schedule's going to look like, but I would definitely take Texas out of there. I mean, Texas is just, I'm not a big fan of Texas. So why not replace Texas, the Texas date, with Charlotte again? I think that's a good move. Or there's talks about Chicagoland. I don't know if you've heard about that. There's talks about that.
I mean, that could be interesting. Well, I honestly, I don't think we're going to see Chicagoland for at least a few more years. Because of the Chicago Street Race, they've got a few years in their contract. But yeah, it'll.
There's 1 year. 2025 is not yet confirmed.
Okay, well that's going to be interesting. Yeah, but this also comes with what we've talked about the last few weeks: Bristol going to no Bristol dirt next year, which I think it produces some good racing. It's had its moments, but here's what I'm gonna miss about Bristol dirt is the sideshows. When they would bring like the street stocks and the sprint cars and the late model. That's what I'm gonna miss. That was insane.
Right. I think with that, go to an actual dirt track. If you're gonna put those Cup cars on the dirt track, go to a real dirt track. Go to Eldora. We've talked about this before.
Eldora, Knoxville. There's a handful that you can go to.
Something. So. Yeah. But yeah, so let's move on to, and we can kind of breeze through this just a little bit, but the Yellowwood 500, it's the race 2 of the round of 12 here in the Cup Series. And was it a race? It was pretty clean in the beginning.
It was
hairy at the end. But yeah, let's go through it.
Yeah. So let's see here. We had Eric Almirola and Joey Logano lead us to green for 188 laps. I was happy to see a number 10 car up front. Cindric led the first group of fielded cars onto pit road at lap 39. Then Justin Haley led the second field. Ty Gibbs led a smaller third group. And Christopher led the final group. At the end of the first pit cycle, Stenhouse was leading. And Eric Jones had a penalty for too many men over the wall. Ryan Blaney wins stage 1. And after the 8 car made contact with the wall and collected the number 1, bringing the caution out. Now, what the heck was Ricky Stenhouse doing?
He was out of gas, wasn't he?
Yes, but he was driving extremely aggressively.
So
against playoff drivers, and we knew that coming in we were going to see playoff drivers racing against non-playoff drivers, but
so it's very funny how this played out, because this reminds me of a race I did last night on iRacing, and it was in the trucks. You had a driver who was blocking from very early on, and you knew what was going to happen. he was going to get involved in something. We called it. It was number 12 last night. I know your name, but I'm not going to say it. He made a lot of people mad last night. But it was the same kind of thing. You're blocking up at the front. Yes, he's a great super speedway driver. We can't forget he won the 500. So I'm not going to negate that.
Yeah.
But his aggressiveness was just so heavy early on in the race. You knew this was going to happen. So what happened in the race last night? Dude got wrecked. What happened with Stenhouse? He got in the wall. So, I mean, it's one of those things where, yes, it's good to be aggressive at Talladega, but that early, blocking both lanes, I mean, it was not for he's out of the playoffs now after what happened in the round. So, but yeah, Stenhouse ran out of gas and caused a little bit of a tussle, which ruined the day for Mr. Ross Chastain.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to see something. I think him and Kyle Busch are both in must-win situations going into the Charlotte Roval, and we'll talk about what we're expecting for the Roval, which always is an exciting race.
It is.
Let's see here. Ryan Stenhouse ran out of fuel and ultimately caused Chastain to retire from the race. Blaney and Elliott lead the field into stage 2. Denny Hamlin leads the first group for pit stops on lap 105. Austin Cindric led group 2. Denny Hamlin gets a pit road speeding penalty. Has to do a pass-through, as well as Austin Cindric. Austin Dillon led group 3, and Brad Keselowski ended up winning stage 2. So there was a lot of people who had a decent shot at winning this race. We had Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, who he was someone we kept an eye on, who ultimately did go out to win the race. Then we had Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, even Eric Almirola. I was kind of hoping for him to get a win too. He's kind of been on a bit of that downward spiral as well. And Kevin Harvick. As much as it was really cool to see Ryan Blaney win that race,
So close.
For my sake, I wanted to see Harvick win that race. I want Harvick to go out on a bang, and
But it wouldn't have mattered, because I don't know if you saw the news today. He got DQ'd.
He did. I do just remember that. I forgot to write that down. He did.
Got DQ'd because his windshield fasteners weren't tightened. That's what I'm. If I'm
front or rear or side.
Let's just take a look right now. So per the report from NASCAR, he was disqualified, obviously.
Yeah.
Because of unsecured windshield fasteners, which meant an unsecured windshield. That tells me it's the front. That when I think windshield, my first thought is front, then back. So Stewart-Haas Racing has the right to appeal the penalty, but there was no response. So he loses all stage points earned, and the race was moved to 38th. The revised top 10 was Blaney, Byron, Hamlin, LaJoie, Cindric, Haley, Elliott, Preece, Herbst, and Suarez.
Oh, Blaney, Byron, Hamlin. Oh, yeah, Hamlin, my bad.
Yep.
I thought Hamlin came third before that. Okay. Yeah, well,
I mean,
rules are rules. Everyone's cheating. You can only stretch it so much.
yeah, I'm about to say you can only do so much. I mean, I don't know what the advantage of not tightening a windshield is, though.
That's why I'm thinking if it was a rear, then there was probably something to have air escape, but I don't know if there's any air ever entering the car.
That's what I'm saying. You don't want air in the car.
You don't want air in the car. You don't want air under the car. So, we see, I see it all the time. People rear deck lids, having a bit of a gap there just to help air get from underneath. But, you never really know. Yeah, but we had a lot of people who was possibilities to win that race. During pit stop, Ty Gibbs exits his pit with a gas can still attached and causes a fire in the middle of pit road.
An inferno. I mean, that thing blew up.
Yeah, and it's luckily that, the actual container itself is made out of steel, so it won't burn.
Yeah.
But still, I was like, what? Like, it was all of us. It was kind of like me watching it. I was just like, all right, car's exiting and fireball. I was like, boom. What the heck?
Yeah. So,
quickly to get it out. Nothing too crazy, I guess, in my opinion there. Kyle Larson and Joey Logano lead the field to green on lap 126. Caution comes out with 26 to go. Crash involved Buescher, Keselowski, and a handful of other drivers. Back green with 20 laps to go. Almirola and Bowman Mean. Caution back out with 17 to go for debris on the backstretch. Bowman and Blaney lead us back to green with 13 to go. And it was an awesome fight to the end. You know, I loved watching it. Yeah. You know, Blaney, we kind of predicted it that this was going to kind of be the Blaney round. We didn't see much of Blaney last week. Probably see something out of Blaney. Might see something out of Blaney this upcoming week.
Well, he had a penalty. He had a penalty last week. He was in the top 5.
Oh, yes, he was. He did get penalized.
And then cycled back and then got involved in a wreck. So,
yes, that is what happened. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens this upcoming week. But yeah, congratulations. Ryan Blaney on the win. Advances to the round of 8 with William Byron.
And we called it. We called it again.
We did call it. I finally called it, all right? I mean, like, as soon as the race was over, I was watching the whole race. I get a text just like, did you watch the finish? I was like, yes. John's just like,
guess what?
I called it. I was like, guess what? I go, what? He goes, I called it. I said, no, we called it. Let's get this straight. I was there too.
We both did call that. I was, you know, I still want to give you
one person I was surprised we didn't hear a lot about was Bubba Wallace.
Well, here's the thing with Bubba. He was there. He was up there.
Yeah.
And we can kind of make this transition to talking about playoffs and next week. But
yeah,
this was his race that to get him locked into the next round, he was going to have to win.
Yeah.
And, you know, looking at where we stand right now in the point standings, he had a good race at Dega, just didn't have the finish. He just didn't have the finish that he needed. Now sitting 9 spots back, right behind a driver who may be my pick for this week at the Roval. You know, it's not looking good for
really Reddick.
Yes, and we'll dive into that a little bit. But looking at the playoffs, Byron's obviously clinched. Hamlin's clinched. Denny Hamlin is all but clinched. I mean, I don't know. Can you score more than? I mean, I guess if you win, you have to get the pole. You have to lead the most laps. I mean, you'd have to. I don't know how Denny Hamlin's not clinched off of points right now, but he's.
I wouldn't be surprised if he is by like stage 1 or 2.
Right. So he's basically locked in. But then you have a very interesting battle for, you know, 4th on back. Christopher Bell up 22 from the cut line. Chris Buescher 19 from the cut line. Truex up 17 from the cut line. Larson up 15. Now this is where it gets interesting. Keselowski up 2. Reddick -2. Bubba Wallace -2. Chastain -10. And Kyle Busch -26.
Yeah.
So looking at this, what are your thoughts going into the Roval? See ya. What are your thoughts going into the Roval? And who, you know, we'll talk about our picks and everything. You know, we talked about first 4 in, first 4 out, and winner of the race, obviously. So give me your thoughts.
I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to see the way that this plays out. You know, you kind of have to be a master of both. Not necessarily a master, you know, but you know, we see this race always produces a lot of action with it being a cutoff race. We always see a bunch of tempers. We saw some tempers a few years ago with what's his name? Elliott and Harvick, you know, that kind of boiled over a bit from what is it? Bristol. So I'm drawing blanks, but watching the broadcast this past week, I was watching, and the guy said this, and one of the guys said this, and he said, everyone keeps asking if the drivers have a say in the NASCAR schedule. No. And this round of the playoffs that we are currently in is a perfect example of that, all right? We have Texas, Dega, Charlotte, Roval, back to back. It's, yeah. So it is interesting. Denny Hamlin, by stage 1 or 2, he'll be locked into the next round. And then we'll have either, you know, Reddick, maybe. I'm gonna throw a long shot here for this race for who I think is gonna win.
Okay. Who is your pick to win at the Roval this weekend?
This guy.
Driver? Is it a playoff driver or not a playoff driver?
It is a playoff driver. And this playoff driver knows when he has to get the job done. And I'm gonna say this: if he doesn't win this race, he's not going to advance. And I'm going to tell you right now, if he does not advance, he's going to leave everything out on the track. Kyle Busch. All right?
Really?
You're still doing the podcast?
Yes.
It's been 2.5 hours. 1.5. Oh, wait, 1.5.
Well, yeah, but we also started filming 20 minutes
Yeah, we started
before. Yeah, like we were already recording for like 20 minutes. Yes. You're about to play Minecraft? Ooh, lucky. Joe, hi. Okay, we have another person joining us in my room for the podcast. This is Joe. This is one of our neighbors.
Boss.
Yeah, it looks like they're fixing to play some Minecraft, but so we'll keep going. But yeah, so Kyle Busch, RCR number 8. That's my pick to win. I know he's not that much of a road course driver, but I'll tell you right now, we've seen it time and time again. When he's in this position, when he's in a must-win position in the playoffs, he's going to do one of two things. He's going to go out and win the race, or he's going to leave everything out on the track, all right? That's what I believe.
So I can agree with the fact that, he'll leave everything out there. Looking at some Roval stats over the last 3 races there, 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s, 2 top 20s. So he's had one race where he's, hasn't finished there, got involved in something. Average finish of 12, best finish 3rd, and he's led 25 laps. So that's not a bad bet. That's not a bad bet at all. My pick for this week is I'm going to go 1 playoff driver, 1 non-playoff driver.
Okay.
I think Tyler Reddick is the pick to win. I think Tyler Reddick here, he has the highest average finish. He has 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, and 3 top 20s. He has led 21 laps here. I think he's just good at road courses. I think he has one of the best shots to win here, and this would be his round to get into the next round, the round of 8. My non-playoff driver, all I got to say is this. He's won one race here.
I think I know who it is.
He has 1 top 5, 1 top 10, but 3 top 20s. He had a little bit of issues at Watkins Glen, and I think he had a good run at Talladega up until the last little bit, sliding sideways across the track. I'm gonna go with Chase Elliott.
I knew it. I wasn't 100% sure. And I'm going to agree with you on that.
I think this seems like, this has been his track. He hasn't finished worse than 20th. With a win, a top 5, and a top 10 in 3 races, highest, 11th average finish, which is around 7th. I think Elliott. Now, let's talk about one driver that obviously could have even a better day is Chris Buescher. Average finish of 9.7 in 3 races. He has 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, and 3 top 20s.
He could be a threat to get in there.
He could be a threat. He won. He didn't win the road course, did he? No, Byron won at Watkins Glen.
Byron won at Glen. He won a road course. He won Michigan and Richmond. No, he didn't win a road course.
Huh. I don't know, but either way, I think
I
think Buescher could be one. Also, look out for Eric Jones. Average finish of 10.3 in 3 races. He has 1 top 5, 1 top 10, and 3 top 20s, which is the same stats as Chase Elliott, except he doesn't have a win. So those are kind of my drivers. My top 2 though, Reddick and Elliott. If I had to pick one, I think Reddick's going to be a little bit more desperate. I'm going to go with Reddick winning this weekend. So, also let's go to the last 4 out because this is a cutoff race. Who are your last 4 drivers out of this round? So you said Kyle Busch is going to win, so he's not out.
Yeah, so I'm going to say Kyle Busch is out. Or no, not out, my bad. Kyle Busch is not out if he wins. Well, Chastain, I don't think Chastain's in that much of a must-win situation. One stage win for Chastain could put him in a good position. And we do have stage breaks this race for some flippin' reason. I don't know why we have stage breaks, but let's see here. For my 4 getting out. 2311's out. I'm going to say 2311's out.
Both drivers?
Both 2311 are out. I'm going to say both 2311s are out. Wow. All right. So, 9, 10, 11. I'm going to say Chastain's out too. I'm going to say he's not going to have the day he needs.
Really?
Yes. If you want to tell me what Chastain's stats are there, fine. But Chastain's out. And then, Keselowski.
Me and you are thinking along the same lines. I'm going to go off numbers here. Ross Chastain has an average finish of 30th at this track. He has his best.
Never cracked the top 20.
His lowest, he's finished 37th. His best finish was 23rd. Not great. He starts about mid-pack. Let's go to Brad K. Brad K has an average finish of 17th. So, I mean, it's just not great there. Now, I'm going to kind of flip-flop a little bit. I'm going to actually go to Chase Elliott's probably my favorite to win, looking at
looking at the numbers a bit more.
Just I looked at the last 3, which I have to take into consideration with the whipping around. I have to take into account the 2 next gen races at this track. But I mean,
we've only had one next gen race there.
I thought we had 2.
This is the second year of the next gen.
Okay, that's correct. There's only one on the date last year. So yeah, I mean, I had to take that into account a little bit. I still think, so going back to Brad K, I think Chastain's out. I think Brad K's out with an average finish of 17th in the last 3 races, a best finish of 14th. I don't think Bubba Wallace makes it into the next round. He does have an average finish of about 14th. I think he's right there. It's not going to be by much.
With Reddick and Wallace and Chastain, playoff points or stage points could really come into effect there. But at the same time, like,
it could.
Yeah.
And then another driver, this hurts me to say, it really does, Truex.
Really?
3 races, only 1 top 10, 2 top 20. He hasn't been great.
I'll say this: one of the first year we had the Roval, who was leading up until the very last corner.
Good point.
Truex, and then Jimmy Johnson kamikazed it in there.
Yeah, he did. But
and Blaney came out with the win.
Right. With looking who's ahead of him, Hamlin, he's a force every week. Chris Bubel's a great road course driver, won this race last year. Chris Buescher knows how to get it done on road courses. You got to think about Larson. You got to think about Reddick. You got to think about, Kyle Busch. He's going to have an amazing day to get up there, which actually I'm going to flip-flop. I'm going to leave Kyle Busch in. Truex is in. Kyle Busch is out. I'm just thinking, I didn't realize it was 26 points. Because gaining 26 points is going to be a lot. So I'm going to say Busch is out, Chastain's out, Wallace is out, Keselowski's out. Reddick wins to get in.
Reddick wins to get in. Okay, that's all right. That's a fair assessment. Yeah. So we haven't done this in the past few weeks. So let's go ahead and do it now. Let's go ahead and look at our championship 4.
Oh, okay.
Championship 4. I'm gonna kind of stay the same here with Byron, Hamlin, Larson. And this is if things, and I would love to see this. I'm gonna go Busch. If he makes it out of this round, I got a good feeling about Busch because we got what do we got next round? We have, let me look here real quick. We have Vegas, Homestead, and Martinsville. So we got Las Vegas, Kyle Busch's home race. We got Homestead, Miami, which it's a bit of a toss up there sometimes, and then Martinsville.
Yeah, so I think it definitely the first race suits his style. So he could lock himself into that race. But looking at, we'll go through those races one more time.
Vegas, Homestead, Martinsville. I'm excited for Martinsville.
That's gonna be
Everyone's excited for Martinsville.
Oh, yeah. So with that being said, I can agree with you on some of those. I think Byron for sure. This round, I told you about this. If Byron could get his way through this round, which he won, which I was not expecting him to win at Texas, won at Texas. If he can get through he is going to get this round, he may win 2 of those races in the round of 8 because of he's won there. He's won at every single track before. He's won at Martinsville. He's won at Homestead. His first win, actually not technically his first win, but he won at Vegas earlier this year, so he could sweep. That car's good on 1.5 miles.
We're talking about Byron?
Talking about Byron. I have to write it, bro.
I don't blame you. And look, we talked about this, all right? We said after this round, it's gonna be there's a chance we might just see the Byron show.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna. I mean, I've been a Byron fan since day one. I literally followed him when he was. I don't want to say a nobody, but everybody was like, who's this dude coming into the 24 car? Like, obviously he won in Xfinity, but I say Byron making it in. I say Hamlin is my final four right now. I think Buescher, I'm going to make a little bit of adjustment here. I think Buescher could have a really good day, possibly show some really strong short track speed going into this next round. I think he does make it into the next round as well. So I'm going to say Byron, Hamlin, Buescher. This is going to be very interesting. Byron, Hamlin, Buescher, Bell.
Okay.
Bell.
I was looking at him too, and I'm kind of thinking, because he's sitting fourth right now.
I'm thinking Christopher Bell could come in and sneak in and win his way at Martinsville.
He did it last year.
Martinsville and short tracks are
last year. He was in a must situation going into Charlotte. Won Charlotte.
Bingo.
Was in a must-win situation going into Martinsville. Won Martinsville. All right. Now, of course, that win was overshadowed by the Hail Melon, which I'm still upset that they made illegal this year. But I mean, I saw I haven't told you that I've seen the actual wall.
Yeah, that's crazy. I love that they got it though. I'm glad they got that, because the thing is, when they got that wall, we were like, okay, this probably will never happen again. Obviously, it's not. But you're right, Bell.
That was a 1 in a million chance that worked.
I mean, it could work. It could work again. But if they said everybody could do it, just imagine everybody just sends it into the wall in the last corner. It would be a parking lot on the front stretch. But I agree. I mean, Bell has been the driver that's been kind of sneaky. He hasn't really splashed, hasn't really made, a crazy jump. He's been consistent, and he's one of the most consistent drivers in the playoffs, so I think he locks himself in to the championship force. So, yeah, those are my picks. I'm still riding Byron, though, champion.
I'm still going to ride Hamlin champion. I just think it'll be cool,
No, I don't. I'm not a Hamlin fan.
I know. No. Here's the thing. I look, everyone always, like, whenever I talk about NASCAR to other folks, like, they're like, oh, I hate Joey Logano, or I hate Denny Hamlin. All right, yes. Those guys can be a-holes at time, but I give credit where credit is due.
They can drive a car. No, Hamlin's so talented.
Hamlin is very talented. Joey Logano, okay? First race in the brand new car at a brand new track, all right? Wins the race. First race at St. Louis. Still brand newish style car. Wins, all right? Wins the championship the first year with a brand new car. That tells me that he's able to get into a car he hasn't been into before and understand it, all right? Denny Hamlin. He can wheel a race car, okay? When the cards align in his favor, he knows what to do, all right? We've seen him win.
You don't just stumble across 51 wins in the Cup Series.
Yes, all right? So it's, I give credit where credit is due, all right? And I felt the same way about Kyle Busch for a long time. Then he went to RCR, and now I like him, But yeah. Should be an exciting round going into the Roval. I'm super excited. Roval always produces some good racing. I really hope they keep it. It's like I said, it's just a rumor right now, but still, please, I really hope they keep it.
Yeah, so that's what it looks like going into this next round this week. So I think, Chad, that wraps up the podcast, episode number 9.
Yeah, very NASCAR-heavy podcast. We're gonna have
NASCAR-heavy. Yeah.
We're going to have more to talk about next week with Formula 1 in Qatar, and hopefully we'll get some IndyCar news coming out. But yeah.
There we go. So that wraps it up. So we would love for you to, if you haven't already, if you've listened this far, thank you, whether you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Thank you for listening. I'm still trying to get the podcast on TikTok because that's a thing. I'm trying to figure it out. But
I keep forgetting that's a thing. Like a TikTok podcast.
I've never seen it before, like on my feed, so I have to explore it. Either way, appreciate everybody for listening this far. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Please give us a like. We would love to grow this flag to flag community. So follow us on all of our socials. We'll be posting content daily. That is at flag_podcast on Instagram, everywhere else, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. We are at flag to flag podcast. We have reached the checkered flag, Chad, and all I got to say is Byron's going to win the championship.
I mean, it is looking that way. Yeah, he's been up front this entire time. He's been a factor every race. He's been a talking point every race, and so it's going to be interesting. But yeah, I don't think only thing left I've got to say is go visit your local short track.
There we go. Absolutely. All right, see ya.
See ya.
Stopping recording.